You guys read the title correctly. Treyarch is actually going to be buffing the swords on Citadelle de Mortar. Honestly, I didn't expect them to do that, but thank God they actually are. If you guys love what you're hearing, then show me by dropping a like and subscribing. But obviously, people have been complaining about the sword since pretty much the launch, and I feel like it's been a little bit over exaggerated. Like, they're still really good for those low to mid rounds, but it's when those super sprinters show up where they become like useless. Like, you just can't really use them anymore, and that's when they needed a buff. And it was kind of like unfortunate because like it's just been a while since a wonder weapon's been great for high rounds on a Treyarch zombies map. Like, even going back to Cold War, it's always been using something else other than the wonder weapons, and we thought finally, now that we're getting elemental wonder weapons again, you know, thinking back to the old ones, at least one of them was good for high rounds. You think about the Stormbow or the Ice Staff, those were great for high rounds, but this time around we still didn't have anything again. But that's something you guys all already knew, so let's actually talk about what Treyarch actually said. And actually they talk about this in kind of two parts, and I first need to address the first part of this, which is has a little background that I need to explain too. But what what Treyarch said is, yesterday's elemental sword wonder weapon damage reduction to the main quest boss in Citadelle de Mortar was greater than intended. This issue has been corrected, and the elemental sword wonder weapons now deal much greater damage against the Citadelle de Mortar main quest boss, providing a competitive option for boss damage. Now, this isn't the buff, this is just a correction. We'll get into the buff in a second, but for the people who didn't know, what happened is that there was a way to pretty much cheese this boss fight in Citadelle de Mortar, and was using the drill, and you just could absolutely melt that thing with it. Like, it was just kind of broken, and obviously Treyarch went to go fix that, and they did that. But along with that, they also nerfed all melee damage weapons in the game, which you may think like, hey, wait, what's the wonder weapon on Citadelle de Mortar? Oh yeah, it's also a melee weapon. It's literally a sword. So the nerf affected that too, which wasn't great at all, nerfing the wonder weapons on the map. And I made a video about this, complaining about it, but even in that video, I assumed it was like an accidental nerf on it, and that they were really trying to target the drill, but then they didn't think it through, and they also nerfed the swords. And obviously that's what's happened, because literally one day after that change, they completely reverted it back to the wonder weapons, and now they're also still solid to use against the boss. And that stuff, you know, shouldn't have happened, but we still love to see that Treyarch has quickly responded to that problem that they had. But obviously that's not the reason you clicked on this video. The reason you clicked on this video is for the bottom half of this tweet, and that's where Treyarch says, we also have additional adjustments and improvements planned for the elemental sword wonder weapons in a future update. And in other words, there is buffs coming to the swords. Yes, bro, thank God, we're actually going to be getting buffed to these. Honestly, I didn't think this would happen, but it's happening. We're actually going to get a buff. Now, when this is actually going to happen, we're not sure. They just say a future update. I can't imagine it's going to be too far in the future. Like, it has to be relatively sometime soon. They're not going to let it go like a week, I don't think, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Now, we don't know what kind of buffs they are going to be just yet. We don't know if it's going to fix the problem with them being on high rounds or what. Like, we just don't know yet. And we could only hope and cross our fingers and pray that they're actually going to make this buff actually good, and hopefully at least one sword now will be viable on high rounds. That's my hope, at least just one. Give us one, Treyarch. But I'd love to hear what you guys think that Treyarch should do in order to buff them. Like, what kind of buffs would you want to see for these swords? Because I want to share with you guys my ideas. I kind of made a video about this, a YouTube short, explaining what I thought, but I feel like I could put it in better detail in a full video, and I want to do that here. And I'd love to hear your feedback on this one also. Now, first I want to talk about overall issues with all the swords, and then I want to get into more specific issues with individual swords. But obviously the big one with all the swords is the melee attack, the swing, because currently this only kills one zombie per swing. Now, I'm not asking Treyarch to make this like, I guess like the Crystal Axe, if you guys remember that from Forsaken. That would just kill all zombies in front of you. It was crazy and it was a lot of fun, but we don't even need it at that level. Like, all we needed to do is kill at least 3 to 4 zombies per swing, and I think if it does that, it'll make it a lot more viable when those super sprinters come up. Because the thing is that what you really need to do, especially on those high rounds, is not really use the melee attack as the main way to kill the horde. Instead, that's just a way to kill 20 zombies melee attack, and then charge your special attack so you could use it to actually kill the zombies. Like, that should be the overall idea on how to do that. And I think that 20 kills to get to that charge isn't going to be as big of a pain to get to if you're killing 3 zombies per swing instead of just 1 zombies per swing. That's literally dividing it in 3, so it's going to be, instead of 20 swings, it's going to be like 6.5 or something like that. I don't know the exact math, but you guys know what I'm saying, which is a huge improvement on its own. Now, the other overall change I believe they should do is those passive effects that people don't really know about. And the reason people don't know about them is because how they actually activate, because those passive effects only activate when your sword is at full charge, and most people, when they get their sword to full charge, they just activate the special attack, which obviously they will. And to me, I don't think that's how they should work. Instead, just the passive effects should be always active. I think that's the best way you should do it, Treyarch. I think it's the best way just to actually have them useful, because right now people are choosing between using a passive effect or the special attack, and I don't think that's how it should be. You should be able to use all the abilities to the swords at all times. I think that should be the best way to do it. And I think with those 2 changes alone, I think the swords would just be 10 times better. But I do think there are some individual swords you should work on specifically, and they mainly have to do with the special attacks and the passive abilities. And the first ones I want to talk about are the 2 that I think need buffs to their special attacks. And the first one, is the obvious one, is the lightning sword, because this special attack is by far the worst, because when it activates, it doesn't really kill all the zombies in front of you, making it easy for zombies to sneak up on you. And when they do sneak up on you, it becomes a really big problem, because while this special attack is going on, and it goes on for a decent amount of time, your movement is reducted. And when it's reduced, that means zombies could easily swarm you and you can't get away from them, leading to downs and wastes of dying wish. And that's not how I think it should work. So to me, I think you just get rid of the movement reduction altogether and just make that beam a bit bigger and it kills more zombies in front of you. Like, I feel like if there's a zombie on your screen while this is active, it should die from this special attack. That's just how I personally think how it should be, but that's just me. Now, the other special attack I think needs to be adjusted is actually the fire attack. And I don't think anything mechanically should really change, but simply they should make it to where it has infinite damage, because right now, about round 40, this special attack just doesn't kill zombies. It literally doesn't, and this has to be a mistake. There's no way Treyarch actually meant this to be this way, I don't think. But Treyarch, just make it have infinite damage. If a zombie gets hit by this explosion, it should just die, no matter what round it be. Like, that's just how I think this should work, and I think that's how you intend it to work, but I'm not exactly sure. But of course, this brings us to the passive effects, and the passive effects, there's only one that's good right now, and that's the light sword, because every single melee attack that you do actually gives you armor, and that is so OP. And you compare that to the other 3, they're just not on that level, because the other 3 are literally just dead wire, napalm burst, and shadow rift. That's what they are, except they might even be worse than the ammo mods on gun versions. And I have a simple fix to all 3 of these. Just get them and make them Shadow Rift, Napalm Burst, and Deadwire on steroids. Like, just make them maybe even close to that BO3 version of these ammo mods. If you remember them, they used to kill like a whole horde. Well, maybe not to that level, but maybe just where they can actually kill like 10 zombies per activation. Because keep in mind, it's not like these passive effects are activating every single swing. They have a cooldown just like an ammo mod. So to me, if they're just going to be ammo mods, I think they should be better versions of those ammo mods. They should be those ammo mods on steroids, because they are on wonder weapons, so they should be better. And I think that would be a nice easy fix to these, and it would at least be competitive with the light sword's passive effect, because right now that one's just way better than the rest and it's not really close. And to me, at least, this would make them somewhat competitive. But those are just my thoughts. I'm not a game developer. I don't know what I'm talking about really at the end of the day. Those are just what a player of the game thinks, and by no stretch of the imagination am I an expert on this stuff. And that's exactly why I love for Treyarch to do what they think is best, and also for you guys to go down to the comments and tell me what you think they should actually do instead. Regardless though, that's going to wrap up this video. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and thank you Treyarch for making these changes. Absolutely love to see it. But that's about it for me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.